is.
All right. Hello and welcome to the Space Jumper Podcast. My name is Jared, and of course, I am your host. Today, we have a very special guest in the house, Miss Kaitlin McFarland. She is a legend when it comes to softball, and I'm very excited to talk to you today because, you know, you are in this special niche of sports, and you kind of have an insight on athletics and things that most people don't have in their day-to-day life. So, first off, thank you for coming.
You're welcome. Thank you for inviting me.
Why don't you go ahead and explain to everybody who you are and what it is that you do?
Yeah, so I'm Kaitlin McFarland. Currently, I am a assistant softball coach at Lamar University, which is in Beaumont.
Peckham.
Peckham. Freaking go Birds. So I focus on hitting there. I get to work with the catcher some too, and then we're adding like a little bit more of some testing, arm care type stuff coming up this year. So I'll be kind of heading that too.
Exciting.
So yeah.
Is that like a new realm of learning for you, or are you already familiar?
No, yeah. From my strength and conditioning days, there's a business that we're going to be partnered with. It's called armcare.com. They have some of the best technology when it comes to arm strengthening protocols, testing, how easy it is. It puts the work in the hands of the athletes for them to be able to do it themselves. So with our kids, I'm going to kind of oversee it for a while and teach them how to do it. It's going to be something that's brand new to them, but right. I have a lot of experience with it, which will really help. So, and it'll benefit us too.
I think that independence is really key when it comes to an athlete's performance.
Yeah.
You know, that having that independence and having that ability to get up and just do it, you know, and I think that that's where a lot of people fall, you know, and I'm also guilty of falling to that myself, you know, staying consistent, being dedicated. Hey, I'm sorry to bother you. Is he chewing on your purse?
He might be.
Yeah.
Hold on.
Larry.
It's not a toy. It's okay.
It's not chewed, is it?
No.
Okay. I was hoping. I didn't see him doing that earlier, but. But wow, yeah, I know. Hey, you got to watch that guy.
I know.
I was running a podcast the other day, and we're just sitting there talking and chatting. Larry, hey, psst. We're chatting, and I mean, we're just having a good time. We're drinking and whatever. And he comes up and he's looking at both of us. And there's an orange because we were taking shots, and there was an orange on the table, and he reaches up and he bites it. He looks at both of us and goes, disappears, gone for the rest of the remainder of the podcast.
That's so funny.
But anyways, yeah, no, like I was saying, you know, it takes a lot to be dedicated, and like I said, I fell to day to day, you have to wake up and make Jesus Christ, you have to make the decision, you know, like, hey, I want to be here,
right.
You know, and so I'm willing to put that effort in, and, you know, a lot of people, they want to be there, but they don't want to put the effort in. And I think that, you know, you with your background, you know, you've kind of competed with the best of the best, you know, you've seen and participated with some of the highest quality training that you could get, you know, and so, that's what's really interesting to me.
Yeah. And like growing up, you know, I got to not only be around other people that did that, like my parents did when I said I wanted to go play college softball. Like my sweet mama, man, she researched, and
shout out Amy.
I know, shout out Amy. She researched because in Beaumont there was very few kids going Division I in softball around where, you know, we grew up. And so she researched like where do you go? You know, where did these kids, you know, play travel ball at that are in Division I, you know, softball now? Sure. And so that's why we came to Houston, like at least 2 days a week, year round. Two, you know, in the summers it was 3 to 4 when we were in town. And that was just what it took, like, to be able to play at that level, because you had to get the exposure, and these were the teams you had to be on, you know? Right. And so like surrounding myself with people from an early age, you know, like I say early, but once I hit 8th grade, I started coming over here, and I was on teams where we knew that those coaches, like we got to practice with those 18U girls that were going to play at Oklahoma and Ole Miss and Texas A&M and Texas and all that, which was really cool. And just being able to see what their work ethic is like, right. You know, then I was able to match it or try and do what I could to kind of, get that dedication. But it's crazy. Like our kids right now, and it's like that across all Division I, really all, I say Division I, but you get to Division II, Division III, that's a whole nother realm. I mean, people don't realize how long those kids practice for and how hard they work just to play at the level that they're at too. But, our kids put in a lot of extra work that's not required of them and do a lot of extra that's, just for them, they know that that's what that takes. And it's cool to be able to coach in that aspect now.
Right.
Whenever I got to do that too, like I got to go do those 4 years and I got to go and play at that high level too. And it's nice to, there's other kids that do that now, and to be able to lead them just is so much fun.
Exactly.
It's so fun.
Yeah. I think that they need that leadership, because coming from somebody that has done it and that has kind of walked through the steps, year by year, making decisions that progress you forward. People definitely need that role model. And I completely, because I've always known you as a player, but I guess
right.
really,
We've known each other since we were little. If anybody wanted to know.
yeah, honestly, yeah, it goes back years.
Yes.
I think middle school, honestly.
Yeah.
Shout out Hardin Jefferson.
Crazy.
Yeah. But yeah, no, that's what's crazy. Because I've always known you as Kaitlin, the player, the going out and just destroying on the field, but now, talking to you now, you're now the coach, and so how does that feel to be able to have that coaching position and have that leadership role?
I mean, the fact that I even have this job is crazy, and I can tell that story too, but to be able to know that I got to do, and I wanted to do so much work to get to where, Division I, playing in Division I softball, just now there's beginning to be a pro league, where people are getting paid a decent amount of money, to go and play pro softball. But that wasn't a thing when we were in high school. It was Division I, and then those people that were the best of the best, the top 22 people in the country got to go play on the USA team. Other than that, there just really wasn't a place to go. So Division I softball was the MLB of softball, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
And so that's why it was always that was my number one goal, was to go and do that, because that was the highest you could go. And so to be able to, do that, and that was my dream, and I got to live that out, and then getting to see other kids this is their dream, is to be able to play at that level. And not only that, now there's opportunity to go do it more after. That's insane, you know? Yeah. So it's been really rewarding, but just to be able to even have this position is something that a lot of people don't get to do. And I'm super lucky and just really blessed at the road that I got to be on to even get here, which was very different than most people, but it was worth it.
Why do you say that?
Well, I haven't, this is my first year doing it, and I haven't been in college softball before that.
Wow.
So out of, I played my 4 years, and I got my master's in human performance, my cognate was strength and conditioning. And I wanted to be a football strength coach. I wanted to be a strength coach in the NFL. That was what I was going to do.
Wow.
So,
hey, I mean,
that's what I thought.
Yeah. It's just beginning.
Yeah.
For you,
So then I did that. I did coach at collegiate at the Division I level for strength conditioning. I did that at Kennesaw State, which was outside of Atlanta. And I didn't have softball. I helped out with softball, but it was women's basketball, tennis, golf, and cross country. I had all those teams. And so once I was done with that, I decided I didn't want to be in the collegiate setting for strength conditioning. Moved to the private sector. I would say from that side of things, you are most of the time, it will take you years to make a decent living. Years. And you're expected to do a lot of work. And those people are very special people to be able to do that. I'm thankful that we have really good strength coaches at Lamar. And I'm thankful that people are willing to do that. But for me, it was a lot. It was a lot of work and a lot of sacrificing of your time with people that you love, or to have relationships. At that time, I was in a more serious relationship, and I was thinking man, I can't be a mom and do this,
Right,
like
exactly.
that's what I want someday. And I just don't, for me personally, I don't think I would be able to do that. There's other people that do. There's plenty of women that do. There are some strong women that are in strength and conditioning that do it really well. But, for me, it just didn't, that kind of dream kind of phased out, which is crazy how hard I worked to get there, and I got to do it. And then it's like, oh, it's not what you thought it was going to be,
Yeah.
And I hope to be able to mentor some kids and, people that we have, that girls that we have that say they want to go on our team. They even say they might want to go that route, or, I thought I wanted to do physical therapy at one point, and I got to experience what that looked like and decided I didn't want that. But, you can always take something from all of those experiences, whether they're good or bad, and just educate people on, what it takes to even get there, and let them decide if that's something that they want to do. Because just because I didn't want to follow through with physical therapy or keep doing collegiate strength and conditioning, like for some people, that's what they want to do, and they're going to do a great job at it,
Right. I think that's just the goal of life, though, is to try things until you find something that you truly love.
Right.
And I mean, you have to try things. You may think you want something, you try it, and you're like, oh, maybe that, like you said, it wasn't
right.
It's not what you had initially believed that it would be.
Right.
But ever since I've known you, you've had great leaders around you. I remember years ago. I mean, this is middle school. Your dad was out there throwing the ball to you, and I mean, in middle school, it really doesn't, like, yes, it means a lot. I mean, that's like where it starts, but to see the progress of like what you've done is really incredible and respectable. And so it's really amazing that you get to kind of take those life experiences and put them towards your mentorship and things like that.
Yeah.
So it's just a full circle.
Yeah.
I think that how do you like coaching so far?
I love it.
Really?
On this side, on actually being a sport coach side, it has been so much fun.
Really?
Yeah. I know for us, like the work-life balance part of it that I was kind of talking about, is way better on this side. But that strictly has to do with the people that lead you. And our head coach, Amy Hooks, like she is very much about making sure that we have, number one, like friendship as a staff in general, but making sure that, we have a life outside of that. And if we need to go take care of something, it's not a matter of, do I need to ask her? I don't always need to ask her permission if I, have to have a doctor's appointment or, something like that.
Independence.
And what's crazy is like for some people that do work in college athletics, like sometimes that's a problem. Like where people like they don't understand that there's other needs that, need to happen. Like, my sister's getting married, so I'm gonna have to leave.
I did see that. Yeah,
like so. Yeah, thanks.
That,
I know Haley got married. But just little stuff like that, like things that go, I might have had to get, I was doing so much for that wedding planning. There were a lot of days where I'd have to go, my mom's teaching, so she can't in the middle of the day. And I'm like, okay, well, I've got a couple hours, like, I'll just text Amy, I'm going to be a couple hours late. Like I really need to go take care of this. And she's all for it. As long as what needs to be done is getting done and you're taking care of what you need to take care of, then, it's nice to be able to have somebody that encourages you in that area.
That's
too.
a sign of having a good boss, though,
yes.
too. I mean, the ones that are very strict and, kind of, are rough on that side of things, on that aspect, employees don't stay long.
No.
They don't want to have to deal with that.
Right.
They don't want to have to deal with micromanagement or feeling like they're a child,
Right.
I mean,
Right.
So, that's respectable. It sounds like you have a great boss,
Yeah.
and I've had a lot of good bosses myself, and I've had a lot of bad ones too.
Same.
So that's how that's why I could appreciate, even where I'm at now, because it's like, oh, they're running that ship completely different down the road,
Right.
And so,
Right.
There's definitely an enjoyable aspect, because work, it's work, but you can enjoy your work.
Exactly.
And you can enjoy yourself and enjoy your time, rather than just being depressed and irritated that you're there or angry, because that's what happens, know? And so, yeah, it just makes it an unhealthy environment.
But, and especially if you're going and you're wanting to be in that position at some point, like, like you're wanting, like, obviously not everybody wants to be an assistant coach forever, or not everybody just wants to do their job. They want to move up, if you have that, if you want to progress. Yeah. And so what I think is the most beneficial though, that I found is I have kept physical notes of things that I learned that are not only good things that you learn from bosses, but even with bad bosses, there's so many things that you can know, like, okay, I'm never going to do that. That's something that I if I have people working under me, I'm not going to treat them that way. Or, I'm not, if this situation were to ever come up again, like I would definitely handle it differently, in all aspects of it. But I think that's been my road and how I've gotten to this point is I maybe wasn't meant to be, at these places long term, but what I can grow from learning from the people that I was around. And it's not always, I'm not saying everything about what I've done is bad. I feel like that's what I'm sounding like, but it's definitely not that. But I just think there's so much value in that. And people get so down, or, like you said, like it's depressing, or, it may be something that's difficult to work through, but there's always something that you can end up learning from those to be able to apply to whatever job you're going to do next too.
And things work out how they should. I mean, I'm sure that you've heard Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson talk about his story. He wanted to go into professional football, didn't get in, and here he is, one of the biggest names in the world, so people's stories, they play out and things work out exactly how it should work out, Exactly. And so that's just but of course you have to be progressing forward. Exactly. You have to constantly be working for those opportunities to pop up and things like that. I mean, you can't be just unactive and sitting in the corner, and expect things to be given. Exactly. But yeah, no, and I think that's another thing that I have with this podcast is, this is episode 35. Mm-hmm. So, each episode I have somebody on here that's pretty much a specialist in their field, and what they all have in common is that ability to continue, to continue looking for something new and to continue building. And, I think that's what most successful people have in common, and it has nothing to do with failure or have failed before, it's just continue moving and never stopping, which is such a beautiful human aspect, because people get caught up in their daily lives so easy, and it's so easy to be stagnant. But once you kind of get into the groove, I mean, what is it? What do they say? It only takes 14 days to get in a habit or something. I don't know the saying, but I mean, it's true. You get in the habit of anything, and you start grooving. You start chugging along. Right. So yeah, and I think that's exactly what you're doing. So let's go ahead and back it up a little bit. Because you have a really, really cool story. So aside from being kick-ass in high school softball, you went to Liberty University. Mm-hmm. Yep. And after that, you said that you went to a private sector. Can you talk more about that?
Yeah. So I went to Liberty, played ball there. I went to Kennesaw State right after that. And I was in the strength and conditioning world and decided that this is just my personality. Like if I don't see myself doing it for long term, and I don't think that there's, a direction that I want to go in, then I'm like, all right, see ya. Like I'm what's next?
Yeah, that's when you get that door and you slam it closed
and it close and go. Yeah. And I will say just because I am like a faith-based person, it has been God that has shut those doors and made it very clear as to what path I was supposed to take next. So at Kennesaw State, it was October, which is when I had okay, I decided I'm done. I want to go move on. So that's mid fall semester. We are about to get into the thick of women's basketball season. That was my main sport. So
I see. This is when you were coaching.
yeah, this was when I was at Kennesaw State.
Kennesaw State.
Yep, university. That's in Kennesaw, Georgia. It's like 20 minutes outside of Atlanta. Yeah. Oh. Yeah. So I was there and, I went and talked to my boss and said, look, like I'm going to look for other opportunities. I'm going to start looking, I just wanted him to be aware of that. And it wasn't very long after that I met my next boss who had owned a travel ball baseball organization and was trying to start a business that his dad had started before. And so the Doyles, Brian Doyle, had won a World Series with the Yankees, and they had Doyle Academy in Florida, and his son Kirk was my boss, in Georgia. And so he wanted to open up this facility. And he was like, well, I want you to be director of sports performance. Like, I want you to run that side of things, but I don't even have a building yet. So you're just going to have to trust me that we're going to get the building, and I'll help you set up a travel ball team, and, I'll let you keep everything you make from your lessons so you don't have to give us a cut until we get a building. And I'm like, okay, I'm just going to do it. And so I did it. Which was a huge leap of faith. Yeah. And so, I ended up right around Thanksgiving is when I quit at Kennesaw State right before they went on Christmas break. We set up my travel ball team. I had already been giving some softball lessons, and so I had a base for that already. And so I just did it. And the next March, we ended up getting a building, and they gave me $5,000 to get weightlifting equipment.
Holy crap.
Which is not a lot. Yeah. But that was what I had to start. Like, I'm not complaining about that amount of money, but that's
also fun though.
It was so fun. And what, yes, what I tell people it was crazy how my path went, because at Liberty we had a multi-million-dollar, weight room. Yep. Kennesaw State was still very nice, but it wasn't multi-million-dollar. And then I went to having absolutely nothing but $5,000 to be able to start something with, which is crazy. Yeah. So I bought kettlebells.
Just get some bricks. Just some bricks for some.
Yes. we got tires.
Have a truck coming in, loading in some logs.
Yeah. So we got I got dumbbells up to 50, one set of each.
Wow.
I got kettlebells, one kettlebell up to 60 pounds.
All those weights are expensive.
They're so expensive.
Like ridiculous.
Like what I'm about to tell you, the fact that it all costed $5,000 was insane. Like, meaning it's not a lot of equipment, right. But dumbbells up to 50, one kettlebell each going all the way up to, I can't remember, it was around 60 pounds, and bands and boxes. Wow. Like to do box jumps on and stuff like that. Yeah. That's all about. One set of stackable boxes, some bands, kettlebells, dumbbells. No dumbbell rack, nothing to put it on. Nothing, that was all I had. Yeah. And so
clean that baby up.
I got, but it forced me to get so creative. It was so much fun. So I started out just running, I called them speed schools, which most kids don't know how to run. That's one of the main reasons why kids may not look as athletic as they could be, is because they don't know running mechanics and nobody teaches them.
Wow.
You start running when you're
I grew up bow-legged. They had me in there like Forrest Gump.
So I just taught kids how to run for like almost 2 months. Wow. And then
I kind of want to know the mechanics of running.
Oh my gosh, I'd have to have diagrams.
Yeah. I'm gonna looking at this.
Yeah. So I did that, and then we had a lot of baseball players. They ran a summer league, a collegiate summer league baseball team. So then
collegiate means what now?
Like college athletics.
Okay.
Yeah. So in the summers, if you don't know this about baseball, like in the summers, baseball players don't take the summers off. They go and they pay their own money to go play summer ball. Whoa. Just like kind of like travel ball. And so they have these leagues across the whole United States, and these baseball players go. So not only are they playing through the season, it's not like a rule, like it's not required, but most of those kids are going to play summer ball.
Right.
And softball, it is starting to kind of get going. Like there's one league in there may be multiple, but I know of one league in Texas. There's one in Florida. But anyway, so that summer, my boss owned a summer league team. And so we had all these kids from Division I to JUCO kids came in. And all I had was dumbbells and box. So we ended up doing a partnership with a gym down the road. And I wrote them a strength program for them to go do their big boy weights at the gym. And then I ran a lot of their like speed and velocity stuff in the weight room. So that's how I ran that. There ended up being a dad of one of the high school kids that I coached, that walked in one day and had written a check to the facility. And he just walked in and was like, "Will you go buy my son some freaking barbells?"
Holy crap. That's like, hilarious.
I was like in tears. Like I was so excited. So then I got to buy, I found Facebook Marketplace weight racks. And then I bought barbells and plates and stuff like that with the next bit of money that we had. So I had 2 racks. And for the space that we had, like we definitely could have fit 4. And I was in the process of, talking to people to get it outfitted and stuff like that. But it's just a lot of money. Like it's a ton of money to spend. So anyways, that's what I meant by private sector is you go into a business and it's basic, sports performance training. So the only one like it around us in Beaumont was Parisi. That's basically, kind of what I was running inside a baseball softball facility. Right. So I did that. Decided it was, time to make a change. And my dream facility was a facility outside of Milwaukee in Waukesha, Wisconsin. It's called Next Level. And so when I was in undergrad, I found out about them because J.J. Watt played for the Texans. Not a Texans fan, but a J.J. Watt fan. And so I followed him I followed him on Instagram. And when I was like 15, he had posted a picture in this place. And you can ask Amy. I literally said, like, I want to work here one day. Like, that would be a cool place to work. There's physical therapy. There's strength conditioning, all in one roof. Like, wow. And it's a big private sector. You printed out a photo? Well, no, JJ had a photo on his Instagram.
Oh, okay,
yeah. So I had just seen it. And I literally showed him. I'm like, I want to work here. Like, this is cool. So in 2017, whenever I was still in undergrad, when I was still thinking about doing physical therapy, I just called up. Mom was like, you know what? Let's just go spend Christmas in Wisconsin. Like, this was like in August. She said,
I bet that was beautiful.
Oh my gosh, it was awesome. Yeah. So she was like, why don't you just call him and ask him if you could just go observe and hang out up there, And I was like, okay. So I just called. They're like, you're from Texas? Like, why do you want to come up here? But they're like, yeah, sure. Come up. So I spent a whole week, like 12 hours a day. I stayed in a hotel. That was the first time like I really went and like stayed in a hotel kind of by myself. Wow. Like, and I flew up there. Rental cars were too expensive because I was 20. So we set up a scheduled taxi service to come and pick me up at the hotel and then pick me back up to take me back. Like it was a different experience. That's but I spent,
legit. Yeah. When was this? What year?
That was 2017.
2017.
Yeah. And so, I spent a whole week there and then I just kept that connection with the owner. And so he's an awesome guy. Like he was kind of a mentor to me, talked me through, different, when I was setting up my stuff in Georgia, I ended up flying up there for him to help me like map out how things would work from, I was running the business side of that too. So costs and how people pay and, how you set up your times and scheduling and stuff. He helped me kind of map out how I was going to do all that. Wow. And so when I decided I want to make a change, I just called to get advice from him on like what I don't know what to do. Like, should I do this? And at the end of that conversation, he's like, well, do you have like roots anywhere? Do you like have to stay in Georgia? I was like, no, I don't have to. Like my whole family's in Texas. I'm not here by myself, And he said, how about you just like come up here and work for me? And I was like, whoa, flabbergasted. So this guy trains NFL football players, MLB baseball players, like is a legend in the strength and conditioning field. And like, he wants me to come work for him. This is crazy. And I just on the phone, chills, I know. Actually, I was like, yeah, I'm there. I'm coming. So that was May. By July 5th, I had started.
Wow.
So mid-May to July. I mean, I just
made the whole move.
I used basically everything in my savings account. Yeah. I had to buy a new car that was all-wheel drive. And is that because the weather up there? Yeah. Wow. All the snow. Yeah. And so
I don't know anything about that.
Oh man, it was the best. I loved it, but because it's just so opposite from here, right, is why I loved it so much. Anyway, so started there, and I got to like work in that same facility, and then I ended up running, social media there. And so during all the NFL groups, I didn't train those NFL guys, but I videoed all of them. Yep. Like they told me I could, like I was posting about them, and I just got to be around those kind of athletes, which is crazy. Like watching any of those guys, like TJ Watt and Ben Brenison and Zach Bond, like they're, very good NFL football players. Right. And to like watch what they do on a daily basis because it's their job is a whole different level. And especially like through an entire off season, it's really cool.
Wow. What did you notice during the off season? Like
from the guys? Yeah. So a lot of people think that it's like they do things that are real special, like, and Brad is the owner, like he'll tell you this, whenever people come in and observe up there, he'll ask them like, what do you see the difference in, what Derek Watt's doing right here and what this 12-year-old is doing in their warm up? And we're like, well, they're doing just about the same thing, and he's like, yeah, because it's all the same, like people think that just because you see
that they have some secret sauce.
There's secret sauce. Or you do see, like, there are videos of these NFL players doing these crazy, back squatting with weird looking bendable bars, chaos bars, or there's like all these things that people think is like, oh, well, if I'm going to be a professional athlete, I have to go train like him. It's like at the end of the day, like at the beginning of the off season, they go back to the basics, like they don't get underneath a barbell for 3 weeks at the beginning. Like it's all about how they move and how they, from a mobility standpoint, and like what the quality of movement is and stuff like that. But that's like from the movement side. From the guy side, like from them and like their work ethic, it's like it's not, it's effortless for them, but it's so much effort at the same time. Like they like don't know. Show up and
we're gonna do it.
Yeah, like they don't know anything but 1,000% all the time. Right. Like the effort level of, and just like finding ways to compete, like in everything. Like how deep can I get on some kind of stretch? Am I getting farther than this guy beside? They would have these, or they're supposed to just be doing like, broad jumps or, whatever, but and they'll have a whole competition between all of them to see, like it's just all out effort all the time. And it's not, nobody makes them do that. Like nobody, they're NFL players, but those guys pay to have Brad train them. Like they're not anything special. Like nothing is handed to them. Like they all, have to put in so much effort to be able to go and do that. And but it's not an option. Like they don't make it an option for themselves. Right. But that's what it takes to be able to go and play at that level. That's like what it takes to be you great. Can't, you can't do it any other way.
Right. Yeah.
And I think there's like a little bit of that at different levels, but like if that's how you operate all the time, then you can expect that that's something that is attainable too,
Right, exactly.
So yeah, wow. It was pretty cool to be able to watch that I was there for almost 2 years.
Wow. And that's the thing, you hang around winners, you start becoming a winner. You could be whoever, but I mean, you are who you surround yourself with. And it sounds like that facility is drawn in extreme talent and extreme effort also.
Oh yeah.
So that's excellent. Have you thought about maybe trying to start something here in Beaumont?
Takes a lot of money to do that.
Hey, there's a lot of money in Beaumont. Too,
there's, I mean, the reason why I decided to stop was because it was very similar to, how things were ran or what I had to do at Kennesaw State, right? So like me thinking, and I'm not in a serious relationship, but thinking about down the road, the dream was always to like own a facility, right? Like that was what I wanted to do from the get-go. Like if I, even whatever route I took at the end of the day, like I just wanted there to be some type of facility that I owned at some point.
Right.
To do that, you're going to do one of two things. You already have the capital and you can afford to just go and start something up, or you go into extreme debt doing it. And it's a business that, as much as you would want it to be something that's a necessity to people, when times get hard, and things aren't going good as a whole, like in our country.
Those Mickey D's start piling up. And
like, but like we go into another recession.
Right.
Like what we do is a, gosh, what's the word? It's not necessary. What is that called? Oh my gosh.
Necessity. No,
I mean, I can't remember.
No,
like I always.
It's not a need.
Yes.
Rather than,
it's a want.
Yes.
Right. Like people, like if you're going to cut something when times get really tough, you're going to go work out in your backyard. You're not going to spend the money to go and work out somewhere.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense.
So I just looking at it from that perspective, it's like, okay, maybe down the road, if I decide, if I do have the money to do it, maybe that's still there. That's not something that I fall out of love with. Like I lift all the time. Like doing that side of things is still like a big part of who I am, but it's just not it right now. And so a lot of people that are in that field or in personal training, things like that, a lot of my coworkers, they had counterparts that made a decent amount of money, and it sucks. And I definitely don't want this to be like centered around that, but that is part, like it's not about the money until it is, And so
exactly.
It's to a point where it's not like I couldn't live off of what I made. I definitely was doing okay, but it's hard to like save when your family's across the country, being able to fly down here to come see everybody was a lot.
Oh, yeah. I was trying to fly up and see my boy Trent in California, and he was like, yeah, come in and around July or something. And I was like, okay. I started looking at the prices for flights. It was like $1,200 round trip.
It's crazy.
And I'm like, oh my God.
Yeah, it's insane. Yeah.
And not only that, just prices of everything are going. I mean,
and
groceries,
especially for a single person.
Yeah,
like people don't
yeah.
realize, like, if you have a 1-bedroom apartment with 2 people being able to pay for it, like that is a whole different ball game of how you can live your life rather than somebody that's living by themselves,
Right. Or even when you're splitting like a 2-bed with somebody, like,
right.
It's
still, the
ridiculous.
2 beds are crazy.
I mean, I think the 2 beds in around this Houston area, I mean, it's like up in like the $2,800. I mean, it's so we got the studio here. With curtains separating.
Yeah. And even up there, like, and people would think it might be a little different, like from a price. You're talking about Wisconsin, but
right.
Before I moved back here, I was gonna get into I think it was 509 square foot studio.
Okay.
You had to pay extra per month for your parking spot. There was no covered parking. So up there, that's a little bit different when it comes to snow days. And I had Waylon, and it was going to be an extra, I don't even know.
Waylon's your puppy?
Yeah. Yeah, Waylon's my dog.
What kind of dog?
He's a Labradoodle.
Those are like the smartest dogs, too.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He's the best.
Make sure Larry's not giving me the
side
eye.
I think he might be asleep. But anyways, I had him, and that was not only, it was like $300 or $400 up front, but it was the most expensive per month out of anywhere around there. And anyways, I was thinking about getting that one, and that was still
$1,600.
Yeah, it was like $1,550.
Yeah.
509 square feet. Like,
yeah, that's wild.
Insane.
Yeah. And especially, I mean, if you're renting there and you have to pay for your parking too, which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, what are you supposed
I think
to do?
it had to do with them having a plow. Like usually they have to have somebody, but nowhere else did you have to pay. I had, in the apartment I ended up getting, I had underground parking, and there was no parking fee. Like,
right.
It's just included.
So, that's crazy. So I've only lived in Texas.
Yeah.
And so I don't know. I'm not familiar with snow. I'm not familiar with ice. I'm not familiar with anything. So how is life different up there with the temperature changes? So just because I've lived here and the weather, I have always said that I wanted to move somewhere where there was snow. Like I wanted to try that. I've been to Colorado and places like that, and it's just beautiful.
It's so beautiful.
Was there mountains up there? I mean,
there are if you go farther north. So Milwaukee's like only an hour 10 from Chicago. So it's like on the southern kind of part, but it's really close to Lake Michigan. So my work, I probably lived like 30 minutes, but my work was, you could take a 5-minute drive and go drive down and just looking at Lake Michigan. Like it was right there. Yeah. So, anyways, the snow portion of it was definitely, it wasn't like, if you have all-wheel drive with that snow, you're okay. And you just try and stay off the road. Like there's ice and stuff. Do you have to like
put chains on your tires?
No, you don't have to do that. Yeah. Okay. As long, but the car that I have actually has a snow mode, and so it reacts to.
Is it a Subaru?
No, it's a Mitsubishi.
Oh, okay.
It's about the same. When I was picking what car I was gonna buy, it was between Subaru and Mitsubishi, because you go up there, you will rarely. I think like just now in the recent, since I've been back, I've seen a little bit more Mitsubishi, but that's just not a brand of car that people buy here.
We like that Ford and Chevy and Dodge.
And so when we went and visited up there, when you drive around, it's like, that's what you see. You see big trucks like that because they will get through. But if you see SUVs or cars, it's like all Subaru.
Wow.
So
honestly, Subaru has a good
it's so
car,
good.
I mean,
yeah.
I've driven one around. I think it was a rental while my car was in the shop.
Yeah.
And man, I tore that thing up and
Yeah.
it didn't skip a beat. Like,
they're good cars. The Mitsubishis were just better price range for me for what I wanted. But yeah, it wasn't crazy. And then luckily everywhere I lived, they plowed. So it was before I had to go to work in the mornings.
How is that? Do they do it early morning?
Oh yeah. Yeah. And it'll depend like
Is
on.
Is it loud? Can you like hear it?
Oh yeah. I mean like it's like a, what can I compare it to? Like a tractor bucket. Okay. Think about that.
A bucket.
Think about that. Just scraping on asphalt.
Ah, okay.
That sound is what, because it's on the, like they have to get it off. And anyways,
and
so
do they sprinkle like ice on it and stuff too? Ice. Do they sprinkle salt?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
So there's trucks that go down the road, especially like if they know there's going to be a big freeze or snow's about to happen. There's trucks that go around and it's like a, you remember those little fertilizers?
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my
it
God.
looks like that on the back of a truck, and it's just shooting salt. So you get stuck behind a salt truck up there. They're going about 45 on the highway, like really slow, but you don't want to pass because the salt is huge.
Holy crap.
So I didn't know that at one point, and I'm just driving by and there's salt just hitting my car.
Oh crap. You're like, what is going on right now?
I was like, oh my God, there's gonna be dents in my car. But
Jesus.
Yeah, it was definitely different. Like there's little stuff like that I had to learn, but yeah, I was lucky where I lived. They plowed, or I was close enough to all of the places where they basically started plowing. And so usually by 6 a.m., like they'll have at least one round of a plow done. And then, if it's still snowing through the day, then they're just constantly going.
That's insane.
Yeah.
That's crazy how these different areas adapt, you know, because if that happened here, we would be closed up. I mean, for however long it took, you know?
Even for like the little snows, like it was just crazy. Like the first time it did snow up there, it was a pretty decent amount. Like, and I was like, oh my gosh, we're still.
Did they ever
work?
cancel? Like,
oh yeah.
Oh really?
So apparently up there, everybody was like, all the adults, all the adults around were like, this is insane. Like this much snow, we never canceled school.
Really?
Yeah. And then most of the time, if they canceled school, then we canceled training because nobody's going to get out of the house.
Right.
So there's no point in us, wasting that, they're paying us to be there when nobody's going to show up.
Exactly.
So, but yeah, there was a lot of times where the parents were like, we had one snow day all 4 years of high school, like if it snowed, it was not that big a deal.
Right.
But now they cancel way more now, just because people are scared about driving on it and stuff like that. But
well, it's an odd time right now. I mean, we have freaking politicians getting shot at and
it's crazy.
Weather coming out and destroying. Centerpoint still's getting electricity restored.
Yes.
Mine actually just got restored yesterday.
Yeah.
But no, it's been wild. Things are happening it seems like, a couple years ago when COVID hit, people are like, we're living through a major historical event. And, the next thing happens, we're living through a major historical event.
Yeah.
The next thing happens. I mean, it's like
everything's
back to back.
like, feels so unprecedented. Yeah.
I like literally for the past 4 years, we've been dealing with things that just randomly, like, or random,
Yeah,
you know?
yeah.
So there's not any protocol that we use to deal with it. But
Yeah.
it's a weird time.
Yeah.
What'd you think about that assassination attempt the other day? Did you
was
see that?
wild.
I know, wild.
I wasn't watching it live. I was out recruiting.
Right, yeah, I
but
didn't see it live either.
it's like there were just the news things that popped up was just crazy.
And at first, I didn't even want to respond, or like, you know, people were blowing my phone up, and our group messages were going crazy, and I was like, I'm not, you know, like I have no thoughts, you know, because I know how the internet is, you know, and things get blown out of proportion, and all it takes is one post that's exaggerated to go viral, and then everybody's, you know, but I saw the video, of course, and it's like, man, there's something's always happening, you know.
Yeah.
And you know, I guess there's several thoughts about it, you know, like how did somebody climb the building and lay on the building with a weapon, you know, and then I saw people celebrating that he got shot at, and then
you know, there was already some congressman's worker, I don't know the name. I just know that was posting like, you better have a better shot next time. Jesus. Already fired. Like but it's just, in my opinion, I don't care who you believe in or who you're going to vote for.
Right.
It doesn't matter. Somebody was trying to kill somebody else, which is never okay. Like that's just never something that's never something that you should be okay with or excited about or anything like that.
Exactly,
like it's crazy. It's crazy how people can respond in that way and think that that's okay. Like there's so many other, I mean, there was somebody that was killed. Like what if that was your family member?
I know.
You know,
and
like
the bad thing is I saw a post where somebody was like, oh, well, that's one less Trump supporter we got to worry about.
Right.
You know, it's like, Jesus,
it's
man,
terrible.
like, what is this coming to? You
yeah.
know?
Yeah.
So,
it's terrible.
Yeah, it is terrible to say the least.
Yeah.
But you never know what's going to happen. And, you know, I definitely think the whole situation is weird, you know,
right.
and especially right now because America has, I mean, you know, everybody loves America because we're here, you know, but at the same time, America has, like, the citizens here, I feel like they have less faith in America than ever right now, you know, just because the past 4 years have been crazy, you know, and really not even the past 4 years. There's just been events that people question, you know, and so it's definitely interesting. I remove all opinions, my own opinions from these things, just because it's like, you know, how if I did form an opinion and I did start feeding into the BS and I did take one side or another side, and what if that initial information was all wrong, you know? And so it's like, man, how do I react to things, you know, knowing what because the media, I say the media, but, you know, all these social medias feed you things, you know, and there's algorithms and there's bait out there where you're, you know, literal clickbait, you know, and so it's all for $1. So it's kind of hard to take a full stance because myself, I feel like I don't know all of the information. Oh yeah, you know, and I feel like
to know if things are like conspiracy or stuff like that. Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah, conspiracy or just false evidence. You know? And so it's I don't know.
It'll take a while before they'll release all of that. You know.
Yeah.
But the underline is, hey, just don't kill anybody.
Yeah.
Don't attempt to kill anyone, and then we'll be all right.
Let's just be nice. Let's just all be calm.
Yes,
chill
please.
out.
Don't point the gun at another person.
Oh man. Yeah. That's one of those things, and gun violence definitely pulls up a lot of people's opinions. Also, you know, so it's a weird time. A weird time to be alive. Is. Yeah. I was like, what is that? It's Larry's foot.
Yes, Larry is here.
Larry. He's like, are y'all done?
Join.
I'm hungry. He acts like he's not taken care of, but he had eggs and bacon this morning.
He just looks like he needs all the attention.
I know. Yeah. He'll take what he could get.
Yes.
And more. But no, it's America is an odd time in an odd time right
Yeah,
now.
yeah.
So,
But sports are fun, so
sports are definitely fun.
we're here to keep that side of things going.
We're here to keep things going.
Yeah. If you ever feel bad, just go to a football game, man.
So you said you weren't a big fan of the Texans. Who do you?
Oh, Packers.
You're a
Diehard Packers fan since I was 9 years old.
Oh,
Ever
I
since
kind of remember that.
since my dad was teaching us about football, because we're a huge football family, it was like my
Does he like
dad's
the Packers also?
No, my dad, he was a Washington fan, and so I was like, oh, okay. Back then it was the Redskins. I'm just gonna be a Redskins fan. And he's like, no, let's watch for a whole season and then decide on who you want. And so we watched like every game that came on TV. Like we just watched football all the time. And that was when Brett Favre was still playing. And
yeah, the legend.
it was the best. Yeah, it was the best time to be around or to be watching football. And so, anyways, I picked him when I was like 9, and I never
lived a good team because then Aaron Rodgers came in and became a legend himself.
Yeah,
because when Aaron Rodgers first started playing, I was like, man, Brett Favre's not playing. Like,
it's not
the same.
It's not the same.
And then Aaron Rodgers started making a name for himself, and it's like, oh, like, hey, this cat's actually like pretty good.
Yeah.
So
yeah. And that was my first NFL game I ever went to, was at Lambeau.
What? I bet that was
so
crazy.
yeah. So that'll
definitely solidify.
So when we went up there in 2017, I spent that week, but my parents road tripped up, and we ended up spending that next week was Christmas, and so that was my Christmas present, was I got to go to a Packer game.
Wow.
So me and my dad went at kickoff, which was, I can't remember, it was like 6 or 7. It was 0. And so then,
like 0 degrees?
Yes.
Holy crap.
Oh yeah. So by the end of the game, it was
the top
well
off?
into
was
the
like
negatives.
the roof off of the building?
There's not one. Yeah, Lambeau's
There's no
old school.
roof?
No.
Oh my god.
No. There's no roof at Lambeau.
The players are out there playing in that.
Oh yeah.
Oh my god.
So they got the big
That's brutal.
long, you'll watch them. They got the big long jackets that are basically blankets that are heated and all that stuff. But
that's an experience.
It was crazy. Though. I had 12. The little hand warmers that you shake up. I had 12 of them on different parts of my body. Like I had double hats on. I had one on each ear, one on my forehead, like in my armpits.
Oh my god, that's a good memory.
On my
though.
wrists,
That's
yes, in my boots, like the whole thing. Yeah, it was crazy.
God.
It was so fun.
Yeah,
it was so fun. It was well worth. Like we were so wrapped up, and you're moving around the whole time. Like for the experience, it wasn't snowing. So I wish, okay, if it's gonna be -5, at least let it be snowing a little bit
for the aesthetic.
Yeah, but yeah, it was really fun. That was a cool first experience.
I'm actually, I don't want to even claim I'm a certain fan, because I'm a fan of talent. I'm a fan of work ethic, and I think every team. I mean, I'm 100% sure every team has good quality people.
Oh yeah.
There,
Oh yeah.
But if I had to choose, I know I'm in Houston, but if I had to choose, I'd be a Dallas fan.
Oh no.
I know I'm one of those guys.
No.
but here's the thing, I've never been to a Dallas game, and it's always been on the bucket list.
I've never been to a Dallas game, but I think it's still there. The high school state football games are all at AT&T Stadium.
That's right.
So I can't remember what year, but it was that the West Orange Stark head coach that was there for a really long time. It was the year he was retiring. They were in the state game, and me and Dad went to that. So that was the only time I've ever been in there. The stadium's cool.
Yeah,
that was a different experience. It's
I've
really
seen
cool.
footage of people walking through the locker rooms, and
yes.
it's like, oh my god,
it's so nice.
Yeah, that's crazy.
So nice.
Great facility. Mm-hmm. A lot of money. I'm not going to bash the players. But yeah, no, sports is an interesting thing, and my family, I have nieces that are in soccer, and my nephews, they play basketball. Mm-hmm. And so sports is definitely a necessity for people growing up, and I not even growing up, just people in general, because it's a sense of camaraderie and a sense of teamwork. How do I accomplish this goal? Like, how do we win this game?
Right.
We're up against, a team that's doing the same exact thing, that has the same exact goal. Let's do this together,
Right.
And so obviously the best teams are the ones that work together. So
right.
it's really nice to see teams that can adjust. And I really, if we're talking about football, I like watching football games in a sense of like, how do they do the first half versus the second half?
Right.
Like what adjustments can be made, or even if it's a game that they're replaying the same team that they had played earlier that season.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, well, they lost that game. How are they going to make adjustments and tackle that? You know,
Right,
because same
right.
players, same coach, same everything, but what can be different?
Right.
Like, how do we
Yeah.
change the outcome?
Right.
And so it's a really cool aspect of things, you know, and that's what I like. I like sports, and shoot, I'll watch volleyball, I'll watch,
Yeah.
you know, hockey,
Anything.
whatever,
Yeah.
you know,
Yeah.
and it's the same thing. Did you, I know, there was a soccer game on last night when Messi was playing. Did you see that?
No,
Oh man.
I don't watch soccer.
Well, here's the thing.
If I liked it, I really have tried.
Really, it's
really
complicated.
am.
I don't know anything about
I should.
soccer.
I haven't like attempted in a while.
Right.
But I think when those big games come on, I really should try and watch it, but I did not.
Yeah. So I was watching it, and I was across the street having a beer, and I was watching this game, and of course, you know, Messi is like the biggest name.
Yeah.
The biggest name on the field that I knew.
Yeah.
And he was just hauling ass around that field, and you know, making plays and making passes to other players. And then he got injured, and he got slightly injured, maybe like, I don't know, jacked up his ankle briefly. So they pulled him out of the game, and he was just upset. I mean, he was sitting on the sidelines, you know, just bawling because of the passion that he had. You know, I mean, he wanted to be out there,
Yeah.
and he wanted to represent his team. You know,
Right.
he wanted to represent his skill and to show everything, all his hard work, you know,
Yeah.
why he put it in.
Right.
And so it was, I'm kind of like you. I'm not a big fan of soccer. I don't watch soccer a lot, but again, it was just so interesting to see a player so dedicated in what they're doing,
Right.
and to see those emotions come out. I mean,
Yeah.
you can't stop that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's pure
You
emotion.
can't.
You know?
Yeah.
So
yeah. And I think when we were younger, like that was something that was definitely pressed to us. I'm still a little old school in that way. Like, hold it together till you get to the car sometimes, you know,
Right,
not
yeah.
in every situation. Obviously that's on a very different scale
Yeah,
than,
yeah.
you know, your 7th grade
exactly,
soccer game.
yeah.
But, I think to a point now, like one thing that I really like about our team is that we let our kids express their emotions and their opinions on things, and we talk about it. So it's not something that we feel attacked on. And we don't, you know, if we have opinions on things, like we don't expect them to feel attacked by it. Like it's just our opinion, and could be very constructive criticism. So if there's, you know, but the emotion of things that our kids can get, it's like, okay, why are they like that? Like, is it out of just being,
Why are they like that?
yeah, I know. Like, but you know, why is it somebody and that has to do with your personality type too.
Right, sure, 100%.
So
yeah.
I, to be honest, I don't know if we've done this at Lamar. Maybe I'll just tell the head coach about this, but you can do like personality type testing. What is that? Enneagram, I think is what it's called. Have you ever heard of that?
No, I
Oh my
probably need one
gosh.
myself.
You should. Yeah. It's pretty long, but they ask you different questions about like, are you more likely to, if you go, you know, go to a party, are you more likely to stay to yourself or be social, or, you know, it'll ask you like different, but it's a lot of questions.
Right.
And it comes out with a number that's associated with different types of personality traits. So we did it when we were at Liberty, and it just like, when it gives you like a description of your personality type, it's like, holy smokes, like that is what I do.
Wow.
Like,
How long does it take?
The test?
Yeah.
I think we got it done in like 20 minutes
that's
or
not
so,
bad. That's
25
not
minutes.
bad.
Yeah. It's just a lot of questions. Like, it's not just like they only ask you 5. Like, it's pretty detailed.
Right.
And there's different ones. Enneagram is just one of them. But what it helped our coaches at Liberty, and this is how they explained it to us, was like they got to understand like why we think the way we think, right? Like, why does this person get more emotional and this person is stone cold 24/7, and you never know if they're hurting like physically, you never know if mentally
Right.
they're not okay. Like, you know, why why are the people so different? And it gave just like a little bit of insight into that. Now, should that ever be an excuse for things that people do? No. Like you can't just be like, oh, well, I don't know. She went out last night and now she's hungover at practice.
Right,
oh, it's because she's a 2. Like that's not how it works.
I can't come in today. I'm a 5.
I'm a 5.
I'm a 5.
I need to take it.
I'm feeling almost 6-y right now. So
No, well, you are. So when you get your number, you're like I can't even remember what I am. I think I was like a 6 wing 5. So like you're a 6 and you may have some traits from a 5. It's kind of like that. Obviously you have to answer
like a 5.9.
Yeah. I can't exactly. Maybe I was an 8 wing 7. I can't remember. It's something like that, but
sociopath.
Yeah. But some people can like use that and make excuses for themselves because I treated this person poorly because I'm a 7. Like that doesn't work that way, you know?
Exactly.
But understanding how people think is important to coaching. That's like the psychology kind of portion of it is like, does this person need me to be their hype woman all the time? Okay, well, for that kid, I might have to do that. Whereas to this one, like she just wants me to shoot it straight. Like that sucked. You need to do this. Now go do it. Yes, ma'am. And they'll go, but there's other kids that you cannot just walk up to them and say like, that was terrible. Let's do something different. Like it just depends on who you're working with, but knowing who you're working with is like 90% of my job is figuring out how you're going to reach somebody to be able to get a better result for themselves, know, like you're guiding them, but there's a lot of times that it just won't get to them, and yelling at them may not be the way to do it. There could be a time and a place for that, but on a daily basis, this person doesn't need you to be down their throat. Like you just need to be able to love them and help them. And that kind of tears into getting back to like the team that we just had it was the 12th year of Lamar softball. So it's team 12. And
that's cool how they do that.
Yeah. So this year will be team 13, but team 12 was super special. Like it was, from a coaching perspective, like the most fun year of softball that I've ever had. And we didn't win conference. We didn't win the conference tournament. We went 2-0 in the conference tournament. But from a coaching, like just from a perspective of the people that were on that team and our coaching staff, it was the most fun I've ever had of doing softball. Wow. And so
that's saying a lot.
It was insane. Yeah. Yeah. My in college, like I got to win a championship, and that team was really, really special to us. But, and that was probably my most fun when I was playing. I think now that I like to kind of separate it, cause that was really special, but it was pretty cool this year.
What made it so special? Just how
it was the girls. Together. Yeah. Like the how they meshed, how they kept each other accountable, how they worked together, like all of that was just very different than what you see on most teams. I like to talk about like it's really big. Parents are a really big deal. Even though you're in college, like you still you're around those parents while they come to their games. And in a lot of situations, there are crazy parents out there that can really think that they need to talk to their college softball coach like about things, their daughter's coach. Wow. And we didn't have one bad parent, not one situation that needed to be handled, not one parent yelling in the stands that we needed to kick out. Like there was not one situation of a bad parent, which is very like, it's just very different. Like there are some softball parents that can be wild. And so just like in any sport, but I feel like in softball, the stands are just not that big all the time. And so everybody's all on top of each other.
Real intimate.
Yeah. So, anyways, but the girl, like the theme of like our whole year was just like, well, I came in January. I don't really think I said that, but I started mid-year, which is very different. Okay. And so they had already done in the fall, we really focus on culture, and they do book club where they, read a book through the year and stuff. And what they really figured out about these kids is like that whole team just really wanted to be loved. They needed people that were going to be on their side. And we had a team, like there were definitely kids on the team, like I said, that like you could get down their throats and that's how they were, motivated. Right. But for the majority of them, they just needed people that really believed in them and loved them and wanted to help them not only as softball players but as people. Like they wanted that,
right.
which is just very different, you know. And I hadn't really been around a group of kids like that. Like usually, and the love could be shown in very different ways. You know, it's very different for every kid that we have, but as a whole, just knowing that they had people that had their back and was behind them all the time in every aspect of life. Like we're always there to help. We're always there if they need somebody to talk to. Like, you know, they felt open enough. Like usually in a head coach's position, like people just don't feel like, almost like they're untouchable. Like, just give it to the assistant coaches if you have a problem. Like the amount of kids that just felt comfortable enough to be able to walk into Hooks' office and just talk to her was so cool. And that's not something that you get on every team, you know, how they're feeling about this. Like, you know, they didn't play this weekend, but they did the previous one. Like, not necessarily, why aren't you starting me? But like, let's talk through, like, what did you see this week from me and how can I get better at it? And just having like those really good conversations, I think is super important. And that was we just had a team that meshed really well. Wow. And it was really fun to coach. It was really fun.
Yeah, that's definitely important, you know, and even in my years of playing back, you know, and playing football, you know, the people that you're surrounded with, they play a big part in how you react to things, you know? Yeah. So the players on the team definitely unknowingly have a leadership role, you know?
Yep.
So yeah, that's amazing, really.
Yeah, it was fun.
So how is this year looking?
It's looking good.
Yeah.
We have a group of seniors that when we did their exit interviews just are ready to, like, this was such a good base. It was like the people were there and the dedicate, like I said, like our kids put in a lot of, you know, I'll be walking to leave and there's kids hitting. I'm like, what the heck? You know, like that's something that you don't get to see very often, but I think they just want to hold everybody to a very high expectation and want to be even more disciplined than we were last year. And that's in every aspect. That's in, you know, making sure that we're doing the little things right. And I'm really big on that. Like, any of the kids will tell you, like, I'm the detail oriented person. So if you're supposed to do, even when I was a strength coach, this is the same. Like, if I tell you to go from here to there to do a certain thing, if you stop before you're there, oh my gosh. You know, like if you're supposed to do 10 reps of this in your warm up and you do 8, like that is wild. Like you can count to 10.
Right.
You know, like the fact that that's just crazy to me. And so anyways, there wasn't a lot of that this last year. I'm not saying we were undisciplined in any way, but keeping people to like a very high standard in that aspect and not letting it fall off, you know, the routine of every day can get mundane and boring, but the elite people, the elite athletes are who fall in love with the mundane and the same thing over and over and over again every day. And they know that that's what's going to benefit them the most, not just what you're going to do when you're fielding a ground ball in practice, but you know, how you throw and how you warm up matters a lot too. So
that's just culture though. You know, that's the culture of the environment. And if that culture is right, then you know, you start seeing stars, you know, you start seeing some really great leaders. Yeah.
And the fact that the seniors that are coming in want to hold their teammates accountable for that too. And they know that they're going to be in a role to be able to do that. I think it's going to be huge. So keeping everything that we focused on, like all of the, like you said, like the culture aspect of things about loving each other and like being there for each other, building each other up, you know, all of those basics that you think happen all the time, but they don't always happen, you know, and like caring about them as people more than just softball players is really important. Okay, now you know that we love you. Now you know that we're going to be here for you. How can we elevate? Yeah, how can we elevate and win more ball games, you know? And I think the discipline of that going through the fall is going to be really big. I think how our seniors are going to handle keeping people accountable is going to be really big. But we just have, I mean, we have, let's see, I believe it's 17. Don't quote me on that. 18 coming back. Yeah. And then 7 freshmen.
Players. Wow.
Yeah. So I think I think we'll have 26. Yeah.
Wow. So about two-thirds are going to be returning.
Yeah.
Wow. That's a nice base, you know, and with the majority of people already knowing the standard that's being set, you know, then the freshmen will fall in line.
Right.
You know, that's just
that's
how
exactly. We have been talking about that. Like now, like they're gonna know what's expected. So what you did last year is just the baseline.
Right.
You know, like we were right over 500 on win percentage. That is the minimum. Like that's an expectation. Right. That's not a goal. Right. You know, like we have a lot of people that are returning that have been with us, you know, now for a while. Like it's just very different. So like before last year, there was only one person that had been on that softball team more than a year. So it was a lot of transfers. It was a lot of turnover. Like that's what happens when you're rebuilding a program from a previous head coach. And so now we have all these people that are going to have been here, you know, at least way more people that have been here for 2 years. And now you know what's expected, and there's way more that you can build on after that. And that makes it way easier for freshmen that are coming in to fall in line and be able to, you know, not only just be able to, you know, be practice players and stuff like that, but then actually have a shot at going and having a starting position, you know? Right. And the quicker that they do that, the quicker that they're able to catch on to, you know, what we do and how we do it and what the standard is and all that stuff. And that all comes from having seniors that hold them to that standard. Then you're going to be able to get into the nitty gritty of figuring out how we're going to win, you know, by the time season comes around. And we can get to that quicker instead of just focusing on basic stuff, you know, for the whole fall. We can get into jumping into the stuff that's going to win you ball games before season has to get here. So, yeah.
Wow. Well, that's exciting.
Yeah.
Do you plan on, I know you have a great head coach that you're working under.
Yeah.
Do you ever plan on taking that head coach spot somewhere?
I mean, that's like always a goal. You definitely have to work your way up in this. So, I don't know when it would be. I definitely
Well, you have the love for it. You have the passion. You have the background. You know, everything. You know, you know, you're currently just continue building. You know, and before too long, I mean, because you know, just from talking to you today, it's obvious that you have that leadership capacity. You know, and not everybody does. You know, and so. To lead with passion and purpose is very what's the word? I don't even. It's. I was gonna say respectable, but I've said respectable so many times that I didn't want to. But you know, it's great. I mean, that's the basis of where greatness is built. You know, and so it seems like that you have a great platform to kind of move into that head coaching position in the future because of the love that you have for the game, you know, and so that's awesome. And so you've been you know, obviously assistant coach at Lamar University
since January.
Since January. So yeah, we're scooting along there. That's
it's
where it
definitely
all begins.
New, but it's been I just think like my whole goal in coaching in general, and I've said this like since I started even strength and conditioning, is to like help people find what they're passionate about and teach them how to relentlessly pursue whatever that is. So if it's in, you know, when I was more in the weight room, like whatever that is for football, you know, you can teach people how to, I mean, they're always obviously going to have like a basis of work ethic, but to show them like what you do, how you do things on a daily basis will then teach them how to have better work ethic or to tell them your experiences and how you did things, you know, like being able to coach people to be able to do something with a relentless pursuit is very different than just pursuing something that you're passionate about. You know, like the relentless aspect is just a really big word for me. And that goes
relentless.
Yeah. And that goes for like every aspect of it. And even when I was in Georgia, like I said, I had a travel ball team, and whenever had those girls that I had them at like 13 and 14, which is the age in which you decide. I know that seems so crazy, but like you need to know whether you want to go play college softball or not at 13 years old.
Right.
And so because you have to be in the right spot and have the right work ethic to be able to do that. And so that's when I kind of formed that like opinion of it, because I had girls that you could definitely tell like softball was what they were passionate about. And then they actually wanted to go do it. And then you could definitely tell the girls that wanted to be an influencer more than they wanted, they cared about what they looked like in their uniform on their Instagram more than they cared about actually winning a ball game, And so, that's what I would preach them into the younger girls. And even the girls, like, even though they're playing Division I college softball, it's whatever. If that's what you're passionate about and you're here for, then man, there better be just this fire inside of you to just, chase after it, and it's
sleep and play.
It actually came up on my memories not too long ago, but I made this softball post about how people talk about like your identity, and people are so against like you putting your identity in what you do. And I have a very different like aspect of it. So, or perspective on it. Being a softball player is always going to be a part of my identity.
Right.
Always. Because that's what I feel like God put me here to do at that point in my life, was to use that as a platform to spread his love, for other people, right, or just to be able to shine that like light for him. But that's always going to be a part of me. And if whatever it is about you is whatever it is, it could be cooking. It could be, okay, you want to be an influencer. It could be freaking podcasting.
Right,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like if you're not doing everything, if that's something that you feel like you're called to do and like you aren't 100% into it, or you can't be 100% into it, then why do you do it? If it's something that you're serious about. I'm not talking about a hobby like you want to go play pickleball on the side. You know what I mean? But like, I think that like whatever that is, how you go about your business when you do that is super important. So if you say that you want to be whatever, you want to hit 400 on the season, if that's your goal, then are you doing everything in your power to make that happen? If you're not, then what are you doing? Like if you don't just say like, I didn't play softball. I was a softball player, like I didn't do strength conditioning as my job. Like I was a strength coach. Like that's a title that you put on yourself.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing for it to be part of your identity. Like I think people are really against that somehow, but if you care about it, like then it's going to be a part of who you are. And that's not a bad thing, because it's something that you were put here on this earth to do,
Right. Yeah, no, that makes sense. So, I know when I started this thing, I had some people message me. They were like, hey, like, I see you're posting a lot on your Facebook. Like, are you going to make like a separate Facebook account for you? And I'm like, no, like this is it,
Yeah.
But yeah. And devoting your every little bit that you can to pursuing what you want is required, to be successful. And, I'm sure that there's a lot of people out there that fear failure. Right. They just feel they fear failing,
Right.
And, I was just watching an interview. I think it was John Jones, actually. Of course, UFC champion, longtime #1 pound for pound.
Yeah.
And he was saying that, he would his whole career, he would train. And 1 week before his fight, he would go out and just get plastered drunk and just get smashed, so that when he got to that fight and he lost, he'd be like, oh, well, I lost because I got smashed a week,
Yeah.
And so he never did. But that's a thing, fear of failing is a thing. And it's, you have to get over that and just say, if I fail, that's okay,
right,
and just give it everything you've got,
right. And the people that are the most successful are really good at handling pressure. And right. This is something like the pitching coach when I was at Liberty, she would talk to us about like stress. Actually, my junior year, we were really good. This was like part of our theme and stuff for the year, but pressure is bad. I mean, pressure is good. Stress is bad. So when whatever your situation is turns stressful, then that's when you know that you're going to go in a more negative direction, right? So we're playing, Tennessee, or that year we played UCLA and all this stuff. Like, you can use that pressure to like fuel you into doing better or doing what you want to do. But it's, again, like you were talking about, like, you can't fear that you're going to fail in that. Like, in softball, I know this sounds super cliche, but like, people don't realize, like, you strike out 7 out of 10 times. Wow. You're not good, you're great at the sport softball. You're batting 300. You get 3 hits out of 10 at bats, and you're not just good, you're great. Like, that's crazy, And it's different in every sport on percentages and what's good and what's not. But like, especially in our sport, like, you are set up to fail, like, all the time, But the pressure that comes with that should help fuel you for those 3 good hits that you do get, for them to be the best that you have to offer, right? Or you're setting yourself up all 10 times to be, the best that you could, ever put out there. But making it something that's pressure and not stressful, and not making it be attached to anxiety, or making it change how you think or how you perceive yourself. Like, the only reason why I can say that softball and being a softball player is like part of my identity is because I don't remember or harp on all the times that I failed when I was doing it. Like, when I tell softball stories, I don't tell you about the biggest, like, nobody's going to do that. Right? You're going to talk about all the good things that you did, or who you were able to meet, or, what you were able to do. Like, it's all the positives are attached to it. But those are all the times that you didn't let it be stressful. Like, it was good pressure that you turned into.
That's character development.
Right. It's huge. Yeah.
Jeez.
Yeah.
I know, I had you write up a workout routine for me, probably about a year ago, actually.
Yeah. We've done it a couple times.
Yeah.
He never called me back.
Wait, when?
When you didn't do the workout program.
Oh.
I'm just kidding.
I did it,
You were doing the job stuff. There was a lot going on. I'm just kidding.
Dang, I just got blasted.
He might cut that part out.
Yeah, I was thinking about it. I was like, maybe I'll start the conversation up somewhere else now. No. Here's the thing. I was very impressed with what you sent me, even though the results don't show, and I may have hit Burger Bodega instead of the gym, but the workout program that you wrote for me was extreme. I mean, it was such it was awesome because you made it in this Excel file, and you had Monday through Friday, and how many times which movements to do on each day, and how many times to do it, and kind of how to group each workout, and how to pair the movements with another one, and it was extremely beneficial.
Yeah.
And the idea of having that all on a spreadsheet and kind of monitoring your progress over time, and even being able to click on the link of the movement and be able to show which movement is happening, like on YouTube,
or what you're supposed to do,
what you're supposed to do, or what it's supposed to look like, but but yeah,
how-to videos,
yeah, exactly. But it was awesome, and
Thanks.
So where did you pick that skill up at?
Just from the way the workout was written out. Everybody has their own way of doing it, and I've tweaked that over the years, but the first sheets that I ever got were when I was at Kennesaw State. That's what most people call them, is like in the collegiate setting, they may print those out for kids for them to like keep up with it. There's now apps that people use that make it way easier than just that Excel, but it costs money to be able to do that. If you're running a business, it's a little bit easier to use one of those. There's like Team Builder. I can't remember some of them, but there's certain, you can just click on an app and it's super easy for you to do that. But those sheets I got as a file when I was at Kennesaw State. My boss there had kind of created that. What I have is kind of like a spinoff of it, but that was kind of where it all came to. And strength coaches are I mean, there are people that get extreme with their Excel sheets. I mean, we have like year plans and
Holy crap.
yeah, like whole macro cycles of what you're going to do for the whole year, kind of pre-set up.
Wow.
Broken down into those micro cycles of whatever time you're supposed to be, preseason, off season, all that stuff. But attaching every kid having their own sheet, thinking about like all of your data. So you do your squats over time and you type in what weights you do. And the whole time you're in college or the whole time that you're a client of mine or whatever, I'll have data from what you did. Okay, back in 2021, you did this. Let's look at, I can chart everything and it all be like kind of all attached
big
together.
Gap in there for mine. I think I did 1 week and I was like so sore. Speaking of, look, actually, your program that you wrote for me is why I ended up with this thing. I don't know why I have it here. It's like so convenient.
Oh, let's go.
I know.
That is so exciting. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, that is a complete game changer.
I asked for one of these for Christmas from my boyfriend at the time, and oh, hello.
You didn't get it?
Hi. No, not this one. I got one that was $60 on Amazon.
Dang, why
it actually
do you like that?
it just broke the other day though. It's been like 4 years, but.
Are you sure it was
it was not a Hyperice. This is so nice. This is the new one.
Yeah, it's the new
one.
one. Yeah, that's the two.
Yeah, that is sick.
But yeah,
That's so good.
yeah, turn it on, try it, give it a try.
Oh, I would stay on it the whole time.
Honestly, so yeah, you turn it on down here.
Yep.
And then
it rotates. Oh yeah, I know.
Yeah,
it's so nice.
Yeah, no, this is what's up.
This is sick.
Yeah, it's
I freaking love that.
So effective. I mean, when
it's the best.
Hyperice
is the best. So I have a massaging foam roller.
Oh.
So you turn it on from the side.
The foam roller is what I
It's
need.
cool. It's really cool.
I'll get on that and my back will just.
It's yeah. It's not. They're pretty small. But they're so nice. And at Liberty we had like, some people use like lacrosse balls to, massage out like behind their shoulder, stuff like that.
Right.
They make, I can't remember if it was Hyperice, I think it was, but they make these like a ball, like a massage ball. Ooh. But again, you turn it on and it vibrates. So you're doing the back of your shoulder.
Maybe we could get you one. Put it right there.
That'd be great, thanks.
We'll
the
stick it right
whole
there,
Lamar Athletics would love to.
Yes. Lamar University supports Hyperice.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, they have some good stuff.
Yeah. I mean, the stuff that these companies are developing is ridiculous. I mean,
I know.
And it's so helpful. And it could, I mean, this massage gun completely rejuvenated my body.
Oh,
like
yeah.
if I lift for like a week and my body's just done and I'm like having trouble getting up, I'll hit it with that. And of course it'll be, be painful a little bit. But the next day I purposely did, like, my whole body was sore and I purposely massaged one leg on one side.
Oh my gosh.
And I got out of bed the next day and like one leg was like limping, like heavily limping. And the leg that I did this with was like completely rejuvenated.
Yeah, it's crazy.
It's ridiculous.
Crazy how like you call that like soft tissue work, like crazy how doing mobility, how stretching, like all of that stuff plays into it way more than people think. And people are just like, oh, just go to the gym and get big. And,
have you tried yoga?
Yeah, I do. Really? There's a lot of times where like I actually just did it in my hotel room the other day. What? I went to the gym and then instead of doing cardio that day, I went and did yoga because I had driven 5 hours up to Dallas to go do recruiting. And I was super tight just from sitting down so much. And so, I did yoga in the hotel room, but I don't like go to studios and do it. I would like.
I haven't tried it. I know they do hot yoga down the road.
Oh yeah,
I was like,
I did that in college. Yeah, it's crazy.
Really,
it's so.
I've never
hot.
done yoga before though, and
they have like beginner. I would definitely start with regular.
Yeah, I need to go in like I need to go in like the intro classes because So, I mean, some of these because I have a friend that he's a yoga instructor.
Oh, nice.
And I feel like never mind. I was gonna say these yoga people are like in a cult, man. Like, have you ever talked to them? Like anybody that does yoga, they're like, yeah, brother, I do yoga. Like I'm an
It's like
instructor.
a CrossFitter. It's like a CrossFitter.
Yeah, I do CrossFit.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's
That's like that joke. Like, how do you know somebody does yoga? Most of the time, because they'll tell you within the first 5 minutes of talking with them.
exactly. Have you ever tried yoga before?
You just really calm.
Yeah. It changed my life. Changed my life. Namaste. But no, I need my life changed at this moment. So I'm like,
So
I'm
try
like,
yoga.
Tell me more, you know. But I've never tried it. I have I've been invited to attend some sessions, and I will. I've just been so busy, but it's definitely on the list. And I think that there's several things that people could do, such as yoga, that improve their daily life.
Yeah.
You know, and you were talking about mobility, and not even in extreme sports,
right.
you know, but mobility as far as just your daily activities. I mean,
Yeah.
right now I work in a lab, you know, I'm doing like, you know, medical stuff, but you know, I think that would still help me extremely,
right.
you know? So
I mean, even just like, so like just talking, you know, with my parents or different, like the way that you walk, like low back pain is just like this freaking pandemic. I'm just kidding. Across everything. But like, there's so many athletes that get really bad low back pain. They end up having fractures. Like I had a fracture in my last vertebrae, my whole senior season of softball. I played with it. It was awful.
Was there a lot of pain?
Oh, so much.
Oh God.
It's hard. It's hard to not like talk about it, but it's hard because you don't know whether you really regret it or not. I don't think I do, but the amount of problems that I have now because of that is a lot. But it was my choice. Like nobody forced me to make that choice. But I was prescribed one muscle relaxer that was non-drowsy during the day, one that was drowsy at night just so I could sleep.
Right.
And so it was just a rotation of muscle relaxers to keep everything chill, basically.
What would happen if you didn't take it?
The way that my nerves, the muscles would spasm so much like around that area. So
Holy crap.
it was like my glutes and my low back muscles and all that, just because they were going into like a protective, you know, mode. And the what you do with your hips and your core in softball, it's a lot of rotation and it's a lot of hyperextension. So I'm a catcher, so I'm in extreme flexion, right? So it's like in my squat, I'm so deep, like in the squat, that my low back kind of rolls, right? Like, so if somebody was doing a bad deadlift, like what that looks like, right?
Right.
That's what you look like when you're relaxed in the bottom, like of a catcher's position. Sure. And then how aggressively you have to get up to go do something puts your pelvis in that different direction. And so it was that overuse, basically. It was a stress fracture, like on my L5. So
like shitting in the woods and getting a bear come up.
Yeah,
you know, gotta get out of there.
Yeah. So anyways,
anyways.
Yeah. So it was a lot of pain, but like teaching people how to.
And the back is so important too.
Oh my gosh. You know? It's just, but it's all that now you're thinking about what
I'm
feels
like, man,
like crap.
maybe I need to stretch a little bit.
But even like talking with my parents, like my mom has had, you know, different low back pain, even problems that have to do in your feet or, you know, hips, like everything's so connected, like focusing on what you're doing and how your body is sitting or not sitting, or, you know, can you control your core muscles to be able to control your pelvis? Like all of that stuff. That's a lot of the reason why we're doing some of the assessment stuff with our girls, is because we do have kids that have chronic low back pain or, you know, chronic pain in their knees. Like, okay, so what are the factors that make them do that? Like, where are their deficiencies in their movement patterns to make them that way? Mm-hmm. But it's about, that's everybody in everyday life, you know?
Right,
like,
exactly.
It's how you walk. It's, do you actually push off your big toe whenever you're pushing off to walk? Like most people don't. And then they end up, you know, they do one athletic move where they have to push off of something and that hurts their ankle or that hurts their calf, or, you know, anyway, so there's a science behind it for sure. Oh gosh, there's so much. Yeah. Gait meaning like how you walk and how you run, and just all that stuff it's very interesting, but it can affect a lot of what goes on up the chain and how well, not just for athletes, but like how well you're able to move just in everyday life. Like,
right. So that affected you though? You think like the movements and body positioning and things like that?
I think from I think that whenever it wasn't in the weight room, that was my problem. I think how much force I was able to create on the softball field, swinging and throwing and getting up out of a catcher squat and stuff like that. I think my lack of core control and lack of pelvic control when I was doing those motions affected how that's, it was not some weight room accident that I broke my back. You know, it's not like I did a squat and then I felt my back hurt. Like that was not it. I think I did because I was such a weight room junkie. Yeah. Cause I mean, I did powerlifting in high school. Like I've been lifting heavy for years.
Right.
And so I think that if you can control them in your specific sport too, like if that was just something that we didn't really focus on that, which is not everybody does, you know, it's not like a terrible thing. But just sometimes the way that your body sits and naturally positions is you're kind of predisposed to get stuff like that, you know?
Yeah. I know. Do you remember Colby Smart? Mm-hmm. My good friend. Shout out Colby. But he was telling me that, he's actually the one that talked me into getting this thing.
Yeah. Because he's in powerlifting now, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And his wife bodybuilds. Yeah.
I know. I'm so excited. I was like, I have to have you all on the podcast.
Yeah.
He's like, we're not there yet. But yeah, they've been sticking to it. He just was talking about, he had, I don't want to say back injury, but he said that it was almost like a pulled muscle, and he continued to lift with it, and he said it was the biggest mistake that he's made. It took him out like 3 weeks.
Yeah.
You have to really take care of your body, and I don't think even growing up, and I did I went to CrossFit Beaumont. Shout out CrossFit Beaumont.
Yeah.
I have been to other CrossFit gyms, and not one of them competes with the mechanics of CrossFit Beaumont.
They're great.
They're very active and proactive when it comes to people's forms and
teaching. Yeah,
yes,
I agree.
And so,
I've been to probably. I like CrossFit because
CrossFit's good.
I wouldn't necessarily, and this is my opinion, say that like college athletes should do it just because it is so taxing. It's a taxing thing to do, but I did work out. I have worked out at about 5 different boxes like across the U.S. And that is one of the best ones that I've been to about teaching like form and stuff.
You're talking about CrossFit
Yes.
Beaumont?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's great. I don't right now, but I have in the past. Yeah,
so
they were really good.
The owner right now, her name is Erica. And
Love
so
Erica.
honestly, she's the best. Yeah.
She's awesome.
Yeah. No, if my form's messed up, she's like, Jared Brodham, you need to fix that right now. I don't want to see you doing that anymore. Yeah. But she's the best. And, Neil was also really good. Neil was the initial owner.
Right.
And then he ended up selling it off to Erica and moving to Austin, Texas. But yeah, both of those people are, when it comes to CrossFit, those are who I want to train me, because like they're very just knowledgeable on body positioning and movement.
The
and
other good one, right? And the other good one that I went to was a entire CrossFit box ran by physical therapists.
Ah,
that was cool.
That does sound.
It
cool.
was very cool being able to like. They're physical therapists that understand athletic movement and being able to like bridge that crossover, which is a very cool, a lot of people feel like they have to be so separate, but that was one of my favorite things about being a strength coach was, and even working at Next Level up there, like we had physical therapists that worked in our facility. So a lot of the kids that would come to us, they get hurt playing their sport or whatever it is. We have physical therapists in house, so we're able to like work with them, and they trust us that we're doing quality movements, just like we trust them they're doing quality therapy, and being able to do both. But when the physical therapist is your strength coach, like that's a whole different like level of stuff.
And where was
especially,
that?
That was, I can't remember the name of the box, but it was, I did my undergrad internship at Carolina Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center. Scott Jablanca, he's not there anymore, but he was the director of physical therapy there. Wow. He now runs a CrossFit, like I believe it's like a CrossFit like gym.
Wow.
With physical. Now he's kind of like, we call it private sector, but you go out. He left that Orthopedic and Sports Medicine Center. He was just working as, you know, a cash base, like no insurance, physical therapist. And he would go to a lot of I think he still goes to a lot of CrossFit events and offer services and stuff like that. And being able to have both of those inside a CrossFit gym, like that's really cool, you know, for people that are that competitive in a sport that is very taxing. You know, it's an extreme form. I don't want to say extreme. It's a hard thing to do to be like a high level CrossFit athlete and to have a lot of those.
I mean, they're
people.
freaking, you know, not even human. You know, I mean,
it's crazy.
Like, oh man, what's that guy's name? I forgot the guy's name. I've been out of the CrossFit era for a minute now, but Rich Froning.
Yes.
I mean, Rich Froning, that dude, a freaking monster. I remember watching some of like his competitions and just going, oh my God.
It's crazy.
Like, I mean, I think at my highest probably abilities, I was running like a 5:58 mile and I thought I was so cool. And then I see Rich Froning and I'm like, oh my God. Like,
at that size. That's what they do doesn't seem like physiologically possible.
Yeah, I mean, the weight that they're throwing up and then
the times that they put up for things that have way more endurance to them. Like,
exactly.
It's insane.
Yeah.
Like technically, like nuts. You do it from a scientific standpoint. Like there are muscular, you know what I mean? Like there are type 2 and type 1 muscle fibers. Like it doesn't make sense how good they're so good at all of that. But
and even like Michael Chandler, he's also he's in the UFC now, and I mean he's a beast. I mean you see him work out, and it's like that dude's a monster. Like I would not want to get in the cage with that guy. But he's big on CrossFit, and that's how he stays up to it. But yeah, just ridiculous humans. I mean, you know, it's normal people. Yeah. But completely trained to do inhumane things. You know, exactly, complete assassins. Yeah. But yeah, that's really amazing. Yeah, you have an amazing story, and you know, your journey is very inspiring because you know. You have made so much progress, you know, and just going from, you know, when we knew each other in high school, middle school, high school, going from high school to out to play college and then getting out of college and being able to venture through all of these obstacles of life, you know, that you've, you know, you're picking up skills here, you know, I think that's the key on being successful and being well diverse is, you know, you get to experience different things and picking and choosing the qualities that you want to take with you, you know? Yeah. And I think that you've done that well. And I think that I know that Lamar University is very lucky to have you as the assistant coach because, you know, you're also a different breed yourself, you know, you know, you have been a winner since I've known you. And I think that, that plays a big part of who you are. So,
It's been really fun. It's been I'm very much like a planner. So this whole journey is not what I thought it would be. But,
it never is. Yeah, it never is.
But I think I just think this today, like the way the world is today, and maybe this is just a lot from living in the South is like, you know, there's so many people that you can, and now with social media that you can watch, like move on with their lives and have everything figured out by the time they're 25, and, you know, and no shame on any of those because most of our friends now have kids and, you know, nothing like that, but like, that doesn't have to be you, you know, like there's such pressure for that to be you and it just doesn't have to be that way. Right. And the more okay with that you are and the more that you dive into like what your life is right now, like you don't have to have it figured out. You know, I'm just so lucky that I have such like great parents to be able to, you know, get through things with and a good family and support system and friends and stuff. But you don't have to have it all figured out and you don't have to be at your end goal and have bought your house by the time.
Right. Yeah. Know, I mean, the key to life is knowing that you can be whoever you want. Yeah. I mean,
it'll always change.
You could do whatever you want, you know, and I mean, different points of your life, you're going to have, you know, different viewpoints, you know? And so, but the key is, I mean, nothing's impossible. Anything that you see another human doing is completely possible for you, you know? So that's what that's what I like to preach to myself is find something you love and do it. You could be whoever you want, and you have been you are a great example of that, because these things that you do, that you have done, and where you're at now, it's not easy. Like that path isn't just like, oh, you like softball, like here you go. Like, things aren't given like that.
Right.
And so to see somebody such as yourself kind of progress through life and make these decisions and have a great outcome is just proof, So
it's been fun.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Keep on doing what you're doing. Miss Kaitlin McFarland, is there anything that you would like to tell the listeners?
Oh,
I know we just went through like a whole rant of like you could be whoever you want.
Yeah.
But where can people find you at?
So follow Lamar Softball on Instagram, Facebook, all
Are
of
you
that.
running their
I help with it. We have like a media department that puts out most of our stuff, like that makes most of our graphics and stuff. But I put up reels and put up stories and stuff like that. Do fun stuff with the girls. We're gonna do like some of the girls bought mics, and so we're gonna do like mic'd up stuff. But yeah, we just have a really good group of girls, and it's fun. Softball was like one of the most watched things, so it's up and coming. But so yeah, Lamar Softball. I'm on Instagram, Kaitlin Macy Mac.
Kaitlin Macy Mac.
So yeah, I'm on X, Twitter, whatever you want to call it. Yeah.
Whatever. I know, isn't that crazy?
Oh my gosh.
I love Elon Musk, but I wish he wouldn't have named
It's
it X.
freaking Twitter.
I wish. I know, like. I don't like it being X. I mean, X makes sense, because he has SpaceX. He has the Model X, for the Tesla and.
This is just X.
I know, it's just X. But anyways, well, Miss Kaitlin McFarland, thank you so much for coming today, and thank you for making the drive out to Beaumont. Oh, tell me about this game before we turn this thing off. You said that you had a game that got canceled today. Are you doing like?
I play backwoods slow pitch.
Okay.
It's nothing crazy.
What does that mean?
Slow pitch softball. So it's co-ed, so it's guys and girls.
Okay.
It's different for every league. I've been playing slow pitch since I got out of school, so it's really fun. So the ball has to hit like a certain arc point. It can't like come in too hard. Like it has to come in on an arc. Yeah. Wow. So it's very different than fast pitch because you have to time up. This ball is coming down and you're trying to hit it a different direction. So it's a little bit different, but the bats we use are a little bit different. We play on full size baseball fields most of the time. So they're like, depending on where you're at, I think the ones we play out on College Street. So those are like $2.95 on the corners, something like that.
Okay.
I hit a home run the other day.
What? Dang. Hey, that's impressive, honestly.
It's fun. So it's co-ed. So what's even like there's smaller softballs that are 11-inch that when you're younger in softball you use. And so in slow pitch, if you are hitting, they pitch you an 11-inch ball, and then the men get the 12-inch ball. So the 11-inch goes way farther because it's lighter. So anyway, so there's like only men's teams. It's like it can get competitive. Like it's really fun. So anyways, we were supposed to play, but it rained yesterday, and so it was too wet, so we couldn't play. Yeah.
Man, this weather's crazy.
Yeah.
Yeah. One thing I want to say before we turn this off, because Nick, I don't know who else I'm going to tell about this, but and they'll be excited. But I went to an Astros game the other day, and they hit a home run, or maybe it was a foul. Anyways, it went up. I don't know what happened. The ball was in the air, and it was coming straight towards me, and I froze. I was just looking at it because it was almost like a movie.
Did you get it?
No, I went like this. It was coming in, and I was just staring at it, and I moved my head, and the guy behind me got it, and I was like, no. But it was crazy, and
it was coming at you.
I was like, I'm not gonna catch that thing. It just looked like a freaking bullet, dude. It was. I mean, I don't know if very many people like understand the viewpoint of a ball coming at you, but I mean, it literally looks like it's right there, and
and it's just getting bigger.
It was just getting bigger, and I was like, oh no way,
That's so funny.
And in my mind, I was like, I'm not gonna catch that because it was coming so fast, and I was like, I'm gonna break something, and so I just moved my head over, and the guy caught it right here, and afterwards, I was like, dang, I wish I'd have caught it, But like, what do you do in that situation? Do you just
catch it?
It looks so dangerous.
This is the only. I have a saying in life. I'm not gonna like say it, but it's DB&B. Don't be no. So that's what I would have told you in that situation.
All right. Well, it was a pleasure, Kaitlin McFarland.
And that's where we got it off.
No, but seriously, thank you for coming.
So fun. Oh my gosh! I literally got that put on my glove. I'm getting a custom glove this year, and I got DB&B put on the glove.
I love that. Actually, that's hilarious.